Here sits your old identity. The repeating thoughts that spin without end. The emotional circles you can't break free from. The past moments you won't let go. As long as this baggage stays with you, your world remains stuck in place. This burden doesn't always appear physically. Usually, it's completely invisible. A quiet weight you've been carrying for decades. Yet you sense it in that chest pressure each morning. In that inner voice saying, "Keep your hopes low." In those patterns you swear to break but keep making again. It's built into your automatic reactions, your body chemistry, your tiniest choices. This isn't just history. It's a broadcasting signal, like a song stuck on loop. Your old self keeps playing while your dreams stay on hold. Here's the secret they don't tell you. You cannot walk into your changed life while staying loyal to yesterday's energy mark. Most people miss this completely. They try to make change through different thinking, through mind pictures, through written goals. Yet underneath, they stay the same person. Still waking up with the same emotional mix, still holding the same story, still waiting for outside circumstances to change, while they buzz at yesterday's frequency. Let's be totally clear. That personality, your past version, was built for one purpose: staying alive. It came up during pain, as a response to being ignored, messing up, or feeling let down. You never consciously chose it. It was a quick response, a protective cover, a personality you put on for safety. Over years, that personality became automatic, familiar. You forgot it was a mask, and now it feels like your real self. But think about this. What if it's not? What if that inner critic saying you're not ready or it's too risky isn't truth? It's just the echo of a version you haven't let go. Quantum mechanics shows something groundbreaking to us. Our world doesn't exist on its own. It mirrors back the awareness watching it, your energy state. You aren't disconnected from the quantum realm. You are the quantum realm made into physical form. So each time you wake up and live that old identity, what does life deliver? Same patterns. Not because you're cursed, not because your method is wrong, but because the universe honors consistency and you serve as its tuning fork. You don't create what you want, you create what you live. This shows why the work isn't about building a new personality. It's about melting away everything that isn't truly you. Your old self wants to keep you safe, but safety isn't your spirit's goal. Staying stuck isn't your destiny. That heavy identity you've carried, the one made through wounds, shame, losses, or rejection, isn't the version meant to experience the reality you've seen in your best moments. That higher reality is present now, and it exists currently, not in some far-off tomorrow, but in a different frequency, in a vibration you match with rather than chase. Yet, here's the hard truth. You cannot reach that dimension while emotionally tied to your past. You can't keep recycling guilt, anger, or self-doubt and expect growth. You can't show up as yesterday's model of yourself and reach a timeline you've never met. So what's our approach in this exploration? We will break this cycle. We will meet the old self not to judge it, but to free it. We'll honor its lessons, then give it permission to leave. Together, we will step into the quantum realm, not through words, but through energy resonance. And I'll support you in dissolving the energy blueprint of yesterday, so you can finally live as the version of you who already experiences the life you've been asking for. Because the universe isn't asking for more effort from you. It's waiting for you to tune differently. You aren't stuck because your destiny isn't real. You're stuck because your sense of self keeps creating the same circumstances over and over. But once you change that, once you release the heaviness, the wounds, the labels, you'll see something amazing. Life will reshape itself. Your world will reorganize. The quantum field will respond. Not because of your words, but because of your change. Now breathe deeply. Something is already waking up, and it isn't coming from outside sources. It's rising from your core. Are you ready to meet the version of yourself that's already free? Let's go. You open your eyes. Same surroundings. The same thoughts repeating. The same inner voice running through your mind before you even wake up fully. You might wish things would be different today. But the second your feet hit the floor, your body has already made up its mind. How come? Because long before your thinking mind kicks in, your hidden self has taken over. You're not stepping into a new day. You're stepping into the same old version of yourself over and over again. Your body keeps score. It holds on to who you are not as a memory, but as something written into your cells. Emotions turn into chemicals. Behaviors become automatic. Eventually, you stop living in the present moment. You just keep replaying yesterday until today feels stuck, and everything starts looking like the same thing repeated forever. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that by the time you hit 35, about 95% of who you are is made up of automatic reactions, emotional patterns, habits you don't think about, beliefs you've always held, and ways of seeing the world. In other words, most of what you think is you isn't really you at all. It's programming. It's stuff you learned. It's the old you running the show. Bruce Lipton goes even deeper with this. The moment you change how you see things is the moment your body's chemistry changes too. This means your emotional state and your energy are actually creating the world you're living in. This is why change feels so hard, because you're not just trying to think differently. You're trying to break free from your body's addiction to being that specific version of yourself. The version that expects disappointment, that waits for people to leave, that doesn't believe they're worth good things, not because something's wrong with them, but because at some point they decided it was easier to expect nothing. You didn't choose this life, but somewhere down the line, your system figured out that pain was something you could count on, and knowing what's coming can feel safe, even when it hurts. This is the real prison, not what's happening around you, but the person we're scared to stop being, even when it's making us sick, even when it's stealing our joy, even when we know somewhere deep down, it's not who we really are. So let me ask you gently, not harshly, what emotions do you feel the most often? Is it guilt, anger, shame, fear, doubt? What if these feelings aren't random? What if you've practiced them? What if your body has gotten hooked on these feelings because they keep the chemical version of your old self alive? And if that's true, what kind of life do you think that emotional signal is bringing to you? Here's the hard truth most people never want to look at. Your old self isn't just something you remember. It's like a magnet pulling things toward you. And the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, not to the pictures on your vision board, but to the emotional signal you're sending out all the time. You might say you want love, but if deep down you feel like you're not enough, you'll push people away. You might dream about money, but if your core feeling is fear, you'll block chances without meaning to, not because you don't deserve them, but because your nervous system hasn't caught up to the version of you that's ready to let good things in. This is why you can read every book, go to every class, say every positive thing to yourself, and still feel stuck in place. Because change isn't just about thinking. It's about energy. It's physical. It's in your cells. So what do? First, we shine a light on this loop, not to judge it, but to see it clearly, to understand that who you've been isn't set in stone. It's a pattern you've been repeating, one you can stop the second you decide to stop calling it who you are. This isn't about hating yourself. This is about setting yourself free, about letting yourself put down the weight of a version of you that only existed to survive a world that doesn't exist anymore. Here's the beautiful twist. The second you start watching your old self without becoming it, when you see it from the view of your higher self, you become the observer. And in the language of quantum physics, this changes everything. The observer shifts what's possible. The moment you see your old self as just a pattern, you are no longer that pattern. You become the awareness that's watching the pattern, and that shift is the first ray of light in a completely new reality. But let's dig deeper into what's really going on in your brain when this happens. Brain science tells us that when you watch your thoughts and feelings without becoming them, you turn on your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles complex thinking and making real choices. The same thoughts repeating, the same inner voice running through your mind before you even wake up fully. You might wish things would be different today, but the second your feet hit the floor, your body has already made up its mind. How come? Because long before your thinking mind kicks in, your hidden self has taken over. You're not stepping into a new day. You're stepping into the same old version of yourself over and over again. Your body keeps score. It holds on to who you are, not as a memory, but as something written into your cells. Emotions turn into chemicals. Behaviors become automatic. Eventually, you stop living in the present moment. You just keep replaying yesterday until today feels stuck, and everything starts looking like the same thing repeated forever. Dr. Joe Dispenza explains that by the time you hit 35, about 95% of who you are is made up of automatic reactions, emotional patterns, habits you don't think about, beliefs you've always held, and ways of seeing the world. In other words, most of what you think is you isn't really you at all. It's programming. It's stuff you learned. It's the old you running the show. Bruce Lipton goes even deeper with this. The moment you change how you see things is the moment your body's chemistry changes too. This means your emotional state and your energy are actually creating the world you're living in. This is why change feels so hard, because you're not just trying to think differently. You're trying to break free from your body's addiction to being that specific version of yourself. The version that expects disappointment, that waits for people to leave, that doesn't believe they're worth good things, not because something's wrong with them, but because at some point they decided it was easier to expect nothing. You didn't choose this life, but somewhere down the line, your system figured out that pain was something you could count on, and knowing what's coming can feel safe, even when it hurts. This is the real prison, not what's happening around you, but the person we're scared to stop being, even when it's making us sick, even when it's stealing our joy, even when we know somewhere deep down, it's not who we really are. So let me ask you gently, not harshly, what emotions do you feel the most often? Is it guilt, anger, shame, fear, doubt? What if these feelings aren't random? What if you've practiced them? What if your body has gotten hooked on these feelings because they keep the chemical version of your old self alive? And if that's true, what kind of life do you think that emotional signal is bringing to you? Here's the hard truth most people never want to look at. Your old self isn't just something you remember. It's like a magnet pulling things toward you. And the universe doesn't respond to what you say you want, not to the pictures on your vision board, but to the emotional signal you're sending out all the time. You might say you want love, but if deep down you feel like you're not enough, you'll push people away. You might dream about money, but if your core feeling is fear, you'll block chances without meaning to. Not because you don't deserve them, but because your nervous system hasn't caught up to the version of you that's ready to let good things in. This is why you can read every book, go to every class, say every positive thing to yourself, and still feel stuck in place. Because change isn't just about thinking. It's about energy. It's physical. It's in your cells. So what do? First, we shine a light on this loop, not to judge it, but to see it clearly, to understand that who you've been isn't set in stone. It's a pattern you've been repeating, one you can stop the second you decide to stop calling it who you are. This isn't about hating yourself. This is about setting yourself free, about letting yourself put down the weight of a version of you that only existed to survive a world that doesn't exist anymore. Here's the beautiful twist. The second you start watching your old self without becoming it, when you see it from the view of your higher self, you become the observer. And in the language of quantum physics, this changes everything. The observer shifts what's possible. The moment you see your old self as just a pattern, you are no longer that pattern. You become the awareness that's watching the pattern. And that shift is the first ray of light in a completely new reality. But let's dig deeper into what's really going on in your brain when this happens. Brain science tells us that when you watch your thoughts and feelings without becoming them, you turn on your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that handles complex thinking and making real choices. At the same time, you start to calm down the amygdala, which handles fear responses and survival instincts. This brain change is real and can be measured. Research using brain scans shows that people who practice watching their own awareness actually rebuild their brain connections in just a few weeks. The brain paths connected to your old self start to fade from not being used, while new paths connected to your better self grow stronger through practice. This is why old meditation practices focused on watching your own mind. They knew without fancy equipment that the simple act of watching your thoughts without becoming them actually changes the structure of your brain. They understood that awareness watching itself is how real change happens. What's even more interesting is that this watching practice doesn't just change your brain. It changes your whole nervous system. Your automatic nervous system, which runs things like your heartbeat, breathing, and digestion, starts to move from stress mode, fight or flight, to calm mode, rest and recovery. This change lets your body reach states of balance, creativity, and healing that can't happen when you're stuck in survival mode. So now I'm asking you to take part, but not just through likes or follows. I want something deeper. Stop for a moment and write this sentence below. I am ready to let go of the version of me that doesn't match where I'm going. Not as a ritual, not as a trend, but as a declaration, a purposeful break in the pattern, a signal to the universe that you're done living in the past. And if this message is touching something in you, something old, something holy, something waking up, then I'm asking you to subscribe, not just to this channel, but to this new way of being. This place isn't about information, it's about transformation. And if you're ready for that change, you are exactly where you need to be. We've been told to ask, to believe, to imagine. Yet so many of us stay in waiting mode. Waiting for the big moment, for money to come, for the right person, for the change to finally happen. And when it doesn't come, we lose faith in ourselves. We wonder if we're doing it wrong, if something's blocking us, if maybe we're just not meant to grow. But what if the problem isn't that your dream is too big, but that your energy is still too familiar? Here's what's true. Most ways of creating your reality miss this point. The universe doesn't respond to what you say. It doesn't care about your dream board. It doesn't even hear what you say you want. It only mirrors one thing, who you're being right now. This is the rule of being in tune. In the language of energy, being in tune happens when your heart, mind, feelings, and actions are all working together. It's the energy match the universe is looking for. Not the kind of match you write about or speak once every morning, but the kind of match that is lived, felt, known, kept constant. You can't fake your energy with tricks and techniques. The universe doesn't hear, I want money. It hears, I feel like I'm not enough if that's what you feel every day. It doesn't see your dream house if you're living in worry. It doesn't hear your wish for love if your emotional home is loneliness, jealousy, or feeling unworthy. Not because the universe is mean, but because it's exact. Think of the universe as a mirror. You don't raise your hand and expect the reflection to raise the other one. You have to actually move for the reflection to change. The problem is, most of us try to create from who we are right now. We use the mind of our current self to try reaching a future that belongs to a totally different version of us. But your future self, the one living the life you dream about, doesn't just think differently. They are different. They feel different. They walk into rooms differently. They speak from a different place. They've moved from wanting to being. Let's look at this more through science. Every thought you have creates an electric signal. Every feeling you experience sends out a magnetic wave. Together, your thoughts and feelings create an energy broadcast like a radio station constantly sending a signal to the universe. And that signal isn't about what you want. It's about who you are. But here's what most people miss about how this works. Your brain runs at certain speeds measured in waves. When you're in fear, doubt, or worry, you're literally sending out signals in the lower wave ranges. Rewritten text. Scientists who study the brain have identified certain wave patterns called beta and gamma. These patterns generate a confused energy field surrounding your body that pushes away the exact things you want to bring into your life. Picture trying to listen to smooth jazz when your radio can only pick up noise and interference. Your heart creates an energy field that's 60 times stronger than what your brain produces, and this field reaches out multiple feet past your physical form. When your heart feels appreciation, love, or thankfulness, it produces what researchers at the HeartMath Institute describe as organized heart patterns. This organization actually transforms the messages your energy field sends out to every person and thing in your surroundings. Stop and consider this truth for a second. You aren't simply a solid form traveling through the world. You are a living, breathing energy broadcaster that never stops affecting the universal field through the nature of your thinking and feeling. Every individual you meet, every chance that appears or fails to appear, every meaningful coincidence you notice is reacting to this energy pattern you're emitting. This explains why two individuals can enter the identical space with identical chances present and experience totally separate realities. One individual's energy field is sending out signals of openness, worthiness, and connection, while the other unknowingly projects messages of being shut down, inadequate, and isolated. The universal field mirrors back to both people exactly what they're putting out, not what they hope they're putting out. So ask yourself this question. What message are you sending out? Does your inner vibration match up with the life you say you're ready to receive? Or are you still sending out signals of not having enough, worry, doubt, and restlessness, while trying to connect with a future built on thankfulness, certainty, joy, and success? Imagine trying to listen to gorgeous music, but your receiver stays locked on static and noise. That's exactly what happens when your old identity tries to grab onto a different future. If this message is speaking to you, press that like button and subscribe, because we're only beginning to explore reality transformation, and this goes way beyond just thinking happy thoughts. That's only scratching the surface. This is about being truly aligned in your energy, because the universe, the field itself, doesn't care about your words. It responds to what's actually happening inside your body's nervous system. One of the deepest discoveries from Heisenberg and the observer effect is this simple fact. The moment you observe something, you turn possibility into actual reality. But here's the important part. It's not just that you're watching life happen. It's that whoever you are in that moment of watching decides what actually shows up. Neville Goddard said it beautifully. You aren't creating something from nothing. You're making a selection. And the person you're being right now is the one doing the selecting. Let that idea really sink in deeply. You aren't pulling a future toward you. You're tuning your frequency to match one, picking it out, getting in sync with it. But you cannot sync up with something your present self has never known or felt. That's exactly why the change must happen on the inside first. You transform into the version of yourself that naturally draws in what you've been chasing after. You don't drag things closer to you. You rise up to meet them. This is why trying to create without changing who you are will always feel incredibly difficult and exhausting. You're trying to build a new future while standing on the old you. And no matter how beautiful the vision might be, if the foundation hasn't shifted, everything will eventually fall apart. Here's a real-world example of how this actually works in practice. Picture someone who experienced not having enough money growing up, now trying to create wealth, while their nervous system still runs old patterns of shortage. Their thinking mind might say words about plenty and abundance, but their automatic nervous system keeps activating shortage patterns every single time they look at a bill, open their bank app, or think about spending significant money. Their heart starts beating faster, their breath gets quick and shallow, stress chemicals pour through their body, and their energy field broadcasts the exact frequency of not having enough that they're desperately trying to leave behind. The universal field responds to this real signal, not the positive words they're saying out loud. This is exactly why so many individuals feel like they're following all the steps correctly, yet they're not experiencing the changes they want. The shift needs to occur at the absolute deepest levels inside your nervous system, inside your body's memory, inside the automatic patterns that control 95% of everything you do. This is exactly why changing your identity is so absolutely necessary. You're not simply adjusting your thoughts. You're changing the entire system through which you live and experience your reality. Think about how your old self moves through daily life. How do they carry themselves when walking? What does their body position look like? How do they take in air and release it? What does their voice sound like when they speak? How do they deal with pressure and challenges? How do they react when good chances come their way? Every single one of these small actions is sending messages about who you are to the universal field at every second of each day. Now picture the version of you that already has what you want. They move with certainty but stay humble. Their body is loose and easy because they aren't holding on to yesterday's pain. They fill their lungs completely because they believe in the process. Their words carry power because they're clear about their identity. They face difficulty with ease because they see that problems are really just chances to expand. They spot good opportunities right away because fear and uncertainty aren't blocking their view. So here's the question that's more important than any dream board or wish list. Who do I need to be right now to match the energy of what I want? Not someday, but today. In this very moment. In my thinking, in my feelings, in my choices, in how I show up in my body. Because when you step into being that person, the universe reflects it right back to you. Not after a long wait, but right away. Not always in solid form at first, but in energy shifts, in signs, in perfect timing, in gut feelings. You'll know it's happening because you'll sense it deep inside. That gentle pull that tells you you've connected with something real and true. You'll stop feeling like you're pushing against life and start feeling like you're moving with it, being in the right place at the right time, doing what needs to be done as the right version of you. And that's the moment when the field starts to answer back. Ready to meet the person your future self has always been? You don't have to create this new you from scratch. You just need to wake up to who they already are. There's a version of you that's already operating at the same frequency as everything you've ever asked for. Not some far-off version. Not just a nice idea, but a very real, very alive self that exists in this moment in the quantum field. And the only thing standing between you and that version is the energy you're carrying right now. This might sound like a wild idea, but quantum physics has been showing us for decades that reality doesn't work in a straight line. Time isn't fixed and rigid. You're not walking down a single road from where you are now to where you're going, slowly working your way toward a future self. What's really out there is a massive, unlimited field of now moments all existing at once, all available to you based on what frequency you're tuned into. In quantum science, we talk about this as the multiverse. In spiritual language, we call this endless potential. Either way, the truth stays the same. The you who is thriving, whole, strong, and attractive, is not coming down the road toward you. They already exist right now at a different frequency, a different energy pattern, a different way of being. And your job isn't to run after them. Your job is to close the distance between where you are now and who they are by matching their energy. But let's stop for a moment because this isn't just theory and philosophy. This is something you can actually do right now. So ask yourself, if your best self were already living your life today, what would they be thinking? How would they feel? Not stressed, not anxious, not desperate for proof that things are working. Absolutely not. Your higher self operates from trust, from being aligned, from calm confidence and attractive peace. They don't create through fighting and forcing. They draw things in through harmony. Their energy speaks before their mouth opens, and everything in their world, from their connections to their health to their purpose, responds to that energy. Because here's something most people miss completely. The universe doesn't rearrange itself because you're a good person who deserves good things. It rearranges because you're a match for what you're asking for. And being a match isn't something you beg for or hope for. It's something you live and breathe. That's why the most powerful shift you can make today has nothing to do with what's outside of you. It's everything about what's inside. It's choosing to stop living as the old story and start living as the new one. And not because it's already shown up in your physical world, but because you've chosen to meet it where it lives in energy first. You take the step forward first, and then the path reveals itself under your feet. So let's go even deeper now. Take a moment and shut your eyes. Picture yourself walking into a room. The version of you who already lives the life you dream about is sitting right there. Feel their energy, not as something far away or magical, but as someone you recognize because they are you. They've always been you, just sitting there waiting for you to remember who you really are. Notice how they hold themselves, how relaxed their shoulders are, how bright their eyes shine, how solid their voice sounds. They don't have to convince anybody of anything. They simply radiate what's real. They've put down the heavy load. They've let go of the old programming. They've released the version of themselves that was created from fear. And where that old version used to be, they've let a new identity come forward. And now ask them this question: what did they let go of to become this free? Because this new self isn't built by gathering more and more things. It's uncovered by taking things away, by stripping away layers of conditioning, hurt, and pretending, until all that's left is your core, your spirit, your truth, your alignment. This is what real transformation looks like. You're not turning into something new. You're remembering who you've always been deep down. You're not building a brand new reality from nothing. You're tuning your dial to one that's already out there waiting for you. And here's where things get really amazing. The second you do this, the second you stop living as the old frequency and start operating as the new self, the field begins to answer back, softly at first. A thought that's never crossed your mind before. Someone reaching out to you out of nowhere. A gut feeling pulling you towards something your old self would have ignored completely. The more you ride that wave, the more solid this new timeline becomes. You start seeing signs, perfect timing, doors opening because you're not broadcasting resistance anymore. You're broadcasting openness to receive. And here's the most incredible part. The old self doesn't have to be thrown away or destroyed. It just needs to step back, be thanked, be respected, and be let go because it was never the enemy. It was just no longer useful for where you're going, like old computer programs that kept you running but couldn't set you free. But what does this process of becoming stable actually look like in real life? At first, you might catch small differences. Maybe you open your eyes in the morning feeling a bit different, calmer or more alive than you're used to. Maybe you start making decisions that your old self never would have made. Saying what you really think in a work conversation, driving home a new way, or calling someone you've had on your mind. These tiny changes are actually huge quantum leaps. Every single time you make a choice from your new identity instead of your old one, you're bringing a new possibility into solid reality. You're actually picking which version of all possible worlds you're going to live in. The more often you choose from this new identity, the stronger the pull becomes. As this pull gets stronger, you'll start noticing what scientists studying quantum mechanics call connections that shouldn't exist by normal logic, meaningful coincidences that make no sense at all. You'll think of someone and your phone will ring with their name. You'll need something and it will show up. You'll feel called to go somewhere and you'll run into exactly what you needed. These aren't random chance events. They're proof that your new energy pattern is pulling in experiences that match it. This is when the people in your life begin to say that you seem changed somehow. They can't really explain what's different, but they can feel something has shifted. Your energy has moved to a new place. And energy is something every single person senses, even when they can't name what they're picking up on. Some people will feel pulled toward this new version of you, while others might feel bothered by it because your growth makes them look at their own stuck places. Knowing this helps you move through this transition time with kindness and understanding. Not every person in your world will celebrate your transformation, and that's completely okay and normal. Your new frequency naturally pulls in people who are a match for your lifted state while creating space between you and those who aren't on that level. This has nothing to do with thinking you're better than anyone. It's just about energy matching energy. So let it go and step into the self who already knows exactly how this story ends. The self who's already moving in perfect alignment with the future you believed you had to run after. You are not pulling your new life toward you. You are lining up with the version of you that's already living that life right now. Are you ready to finally meet them? Let's not just talk about change. Let's actually feel it happening. Let's become it in our bodies. Because no piece of information, no understanding, no lesson, no matter how strong and true, will ever actually transform your life unless it moves into your body and becomes real. This is where the shift stops being an idea and starts being your life. This is where the new timeline becomes solid through purposeful ritual, through energy declaration, through total devotion to the process. Right now, in this moment, You're going to walk yourself through a quantum identity transformation, not by pushing hard, not by struggling to make it happen, but by melting away the identity that no longer fits your future and stepping fully into the one that does. Step 1. Name the old self. You can't let go of what you won't look at clearly. So give your old identity a name or label. It could be a single word, a nickname, a picture in your mind, something that captures who you've been up until now. The you that's been stuck in the loop of fear, uncertainty, and feeling limited. Maybe it's the doubter, the one who needs everything perfect, the one who settled for less. Whatever name comes up naturally and honestly, take hold of it. Now speak to that identity directly. Thank it deeply. It kept you alive. It got you through the hard times, but it's not the one who will lead you into what's next. Step 2. The ritual of letting go. See yourself in your mind carrying that old version of you like something heavy you've been dragging around, like the picture from this whole journey, pulling bags packed full of old memories, old stories, old patterns. And now watch yourself stop moving. Take it off your back and place it on the ground. You don't have to destroy it or hate it. You just need to walk away from it. Picture yourself walking forward lighter, standing taller, seeing more clearly. You've released the energy that's been holding you prisoner all this time. And by doing this, you've opened up room in the universal field for a new frequency to come through. Step 3. Live as the new self. Who are you right now? Feel it in this exact second. Stand up or sit down in the body position of the version of you who already lives in total alignment. The one who trusts what they know inside. The one who sends out calm energy. The one who doesn't need to chase anything anymore because they've become what they used to search for. How would they fill their lungs, talk, look at the world, handle tough situations? Move into that version right now. Step 4. Lock it in with your words. Say the following statement out loud, not like a robot, but with your full attention, with your body, with intention. I no longer create my past over and over. I tune into my real self. Say it again. I no longer create my past over and over. I tune into my real self. Let those words carry a vibration, not just be sounds you repeat. Let them slice through the old broadcast signal. Let them echo through every cell in your body. You're not just speaking them, you're living them. Because every single cell in your body, every tiny piece of your being is paying attention. And even more important, so is the universal field around you. As you vibrate as this new self, the field starts to reorganize itself around you. Options that were hidden before start to come into view. People who match your new energy start to show up in your life. Your outside world doesn't change because you asked nicely for it. It changes because you became a different person. You are now moving in harmony with what you want, and that harmony is your new lived experience. Here's the last important piece. Ceremony isn't something you only do once and forget about. It's a doorway, a frequency you come back to every time the old self tries to come back, because it definitely will. Not to mess things up for you, but to be seen, to be reminded that you've grown beyond it. And each time you make the choice again. This is where most people have a hard time, and why keeping your new identity takes real understanding and being patient with yourself. Your old self isn't trying to mess things up for you when it comes back to the surface. It's just following the brain pathways that have been carved really deep through years and years of doing the same thing. Think of it like a river that's been flowing in one direction for many decades. Even when you send the water a new way, it will want to go back to the familiar path until the new direction gets deeper and more solid. When old feelings come up, and they absolutely will, remember that this is your nervous system letting go of stored energy from your past. These emotional releases are actually proof that the transformation is doing its job. Your body is literally cleaning itself out from the chemical habit it had of being your former self. In these moments, the secret is not to fight against what's coming up or judge yourself for it, but to watch it with kindness and care. Tell yourself, this is just energy passing through my body. This isn't who I am anymore. This is my system cleaning out the old to create room for the new. Just saying this to yourself helps the energy move through you faster instead of getting trapped because you're fighting it. Some days are going to feel harder than other days. You might wake up feeling like your old self has completely taken over again. This is totally normal and it won't last. These are what we can call days of bringing everything together. Days when your awareness is weaving the new identity deeper into the structure of your cells. On these days, be extra kind and gentle with yourself and purposefully choose actions that line up with your new identity, even when you don't feel like it in that moment. So here's what you practice every single day. Every morning before the world rushes in and demands your attention, ask yourself this question: which version of me is going to create my reality today? And make the choice on purpose, with love, with strength. Because when you do this, you're not just changing your life, you're actually changing which timeline you're living in. And the wave of that choice moves out through the quantum field like ripples on water, reshaping what can happen, not just for you, but for every single life you come in contact with. You've reset who you are at the core. You've melted away the past. You've walked into the field as a completely new person. When you finally let go of who you used to be, reality starts to reorganize itself around who you actually are. Not someday far away, not after months of hard work, but right now. In this exact moment, because the shift doesn't start when the world around you changes. It starts when you change on the inside. And maybe for the first time in a really long time, you're actually feeling it happening. That feeling of being lighter, that weird mix of peace and endless possibility, that quiet voice inside that says something fundamental has shifted. That's not just in your head. That's the field giving you feedback. Reality has always been more bendable than what we were told growing up. Not locked in place, not hard and unchangeable, but flowing, moving, alive, and ready. Not waiting for you to run after it, but waiting for you to match its frequency. This is how quantum manifestation actually operates in real life. You don't pull your future closer to where you are now. You rise up to where it already is. You become the same frequency as the life you want to live. And the outside world, by the way the universe works, has to match it. Not because it's some kind of magic trick, but because it's how energy and physics work. Because your vibration is the design plan for your reality. And when your vibration shifts, your life can't stay the way it was. Take a look around you. Nothing might look changed yet, but you are different. And that by itself changes absolutely everything. Because from this moment on, every thought you pick, every feeling you live in, every belief you strengthen is either lining you up with your bigger timeline or pulling you back into yesterday. And you've already made your decision. So now the actual practice starts. Not in ideas, but in real life. When an old feeling rises up, you'll remember, this isn't me anymore. This is just leftover stuff. When an old habit tries to run its course, you'll stop and say, I don't create that version of me anymore. When fear starts talking, you'll answer with your full presence. When doubt comes knocking, you'll take deeper breaths. You'll speak more quietly. You'll move from a place the old self never knew existed. You are no longer sending out the past. You've switched your broadcast signal, and that switch has results. Gorgeous, beyond imagination, soul-growing results. Some you'll notice right away. Sudden moments of clarity, better synchronicities, people treating you differently. Others will be more quiet, but just as true. A quick sense of being in the right place, ideas that come easily, moments of perfect timing that prove you're finally walking as your real self. The observer effect is now working through your eyes. Every moment you watch from this new identity, you bring new options into your reality. You're not just seeing your life happen. You're actively choosing which version of reality shows up through the quality of how you watch, through the frequency you hold while seeing your world. This is why old spiritual teachings talked about ending the false self or experiencing death while still alive. They knew that to give birth to the new self, the old one must be let go of on purpose. Not killed with force, but thanked and softly released. You've just done this holy death and rebirth, not as a story, but as quantum science in action. So as we finish this sacred space together, I want to ask you something deeper than hitting like or subscribe. If this journey woke something up inside you, if it helped you remember that there is a self within you that's not damaged, not hurt, not trapped, but unlimited, shining, complete, then leave something in the field. Make your presence known to the universe. Speak not just to me, but to the person you're becoming. Write in the comments below, "The old me has been released." Let it be your mark, your energy mark to the quantum field, a wave, a vibration, a statement of truth. And if this space has felt like more than just information, if it has felt like coming home to yourself, then move closer. This isn't just a place to watch videos, it's a frequency, a gathering place for those of us who are collapsing timelines and rising into the versions of ourselves we were always meant to be. So subscribe, not just to keep watching, but to stay in harmony, stay aligned, stay lifted, because the real shift isn't only personal, it's happening for all of us together. And the more of us who vibrate as our truest selves, the more this world starts to mirror that truth back to all of us. You are not walking this path alone. You are part of a field of souls waking up to their quantum nature. And now that you've remembered who you really are, you can't unknow it. The old you has finished its job. The new you is already creating the next part of the story. And reality, it's paying attention and responding. Now that you know how to release your former self, you need to learn the specific quantum methods that make reality transformation feel easy and natural. Watch why nobody understands quantum manifestation, even though it's straightforward. To find the missing piece that makes this whole process work on its own and become impossible to stop.